10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Welcome to the Orbit Sports Podcast, presented by Shotgun Sports Network. I'm Frazier.
And I'm Daniel.
Strap in, we're ready to launch. This week on the podcast, we're going to highlight the Huntsville City FC match versus Atlanta United 2. We're going to talk about the Havoc weekend versus the teams they played, which we'll talk about that later, in case you didn't watch the games. We don't want to spoil it for you. And then there may be one or two little bits of sentences about the Trash Pandas.
That would be nice. So let's go over our predictions from last week. Last week we talked about the HCFC, and we were both dead wrong.
Man, that was awful.
That was not a great game. We predicted that Pensacola, Huntsville, and Birmingham would all sweep. None of them swept.
Nope.
I think we should keep our day jobs because that was not great at all. So talking about the matchup with the HCFC against Atlanta United, that was a little bit of a rough game for them. I felt that Atlanta's defense really set the tone and kept Huntsville in check.
Yeah, they really did. There was one play where Huntsville tried to go to the left, and they were blocked. And then they had to bring the ball back around to the right side. They were blocked. And they tried to go up the middle, and they were blocked. But then eventually they ended up scoring their first goal. But it took almost the entire first half.
It did. It took a lot of time for them to do it. And they had very sloppy defense this week. They couldn't stop Atlanta United 2 from scoring, it felt like. I think they did a good job in probably the first half.
Yeah.
And then the second half, the wheels fell off the wagon.
Wheels did fall off. I think the wheels really fell off when they got that yellow card, and Atlanta United 2 got that penalty kick.
Yeah.
And the next play after that, we got another yellow card, and then Atlanta scored their goal. We were
That was a crazy little exchange that happened there late in the second half.
Yes, it was. We just couldn't keep up with Atlanta. They were just faster than us. They just seemed like they were more conditioned than us.
Yeah.
And also, you have to realize that was their third road game to open the season.
That is a lot. That is a lot of games on the road in a row, especially to open the season. You would tend to like to have one at home and kind of break up the monotony of being on the road, but also to gain some momentum moving forward.
Yeah, you really would. And also, like I mentioned last week, Atlanta United, they played last year at Kennesaw State. This year, they were playing at the Georgia Bulldogs.
They were.
So it was a lot farther drive for Huntsville than this year.
It is a long drive to Athens, Georgia for sure to play at the Turner Sports Complex. Let's get into the game a little bit. So Cristiano scored unassisted at the 14-minute mark, and it looked like, okay, Huntsville City's going to take control of this game early. Atlanta strike back 12 minutes later. Dunbar would then go and score a goal at the 42-minute mark and put them ahead. And they never left their foot off the pedal. From there on out, they absolutely controlled that game.
They most assuredly did.
Atlanta United 2 scored again at the 62nd minute. Going up 3-1, they make a big substitution. And that didn't even seem to matter. Because in the 86th minute, they scored again. It just felt like the Cosmic Goats did some things right, but they didn't do everything that they needed to do to win in this.
No, I just felt they were tired. It was just, they were just ready to be home.
Yeah.
They're ready to be home and play a home game.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited for their home game coming up.
Yeah, they do have a home game coming up this week. They didn't do all things bad. To touch back on that, they had 88.2% passing and almost double the passes that Atlanta United had.
Yeah, well, they had to pass the ball so much because they couldn't get the ball past the defense.
They passed the ball 492 times in this game.
Knowing how Atlanta's defense was, that makes great sense why they had to pass so much, because they just could not break past their wall. Their wall was so tight.
It really was.
And Atlanta's wall was so tight, in fact, Huntsville just didn't have a chance to even try to get an offside to even try to do something.
Well, they did get a couple. Atlanta United did have 2 offsides
Yeah,
in this
Atlanta
match.
United did, but Huntsville just didn't because Atlanta's wall was just so tight they couldn't
Yeah.
even try to get an offsides if they wanted to.
I think one of the things that was really interesting was that Atlanta had 2 offsides, but they also scored a goal on one of their offsides. But it got taken away, obviously,
Yes, it
because of the
did.
penalty. But by the stats, if you look at the stats, Huntsville was absolutely dominated in this game. By the numbers, Atlanta United led in shots, shots on goals, block shots, corners, crosses, and clearances. You can't lose all of those categories and win a game.
No, no. One question I have
What's that?
is where is Huntsville's defense?
I don't know. Maybe they left it in Alabama because it was definitely not with them in Georgia.
Well, I just think that the atmosphere that they're used to at Wicks Family Field is just not the same at these other places.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they had much of a crowd there in Atlanta United 2's game.
And I feel like Huntsville City FC just like to have it feed off the crowd. They really do, and they get into that atmosphere.
So moving forward, what are some key points that you think they need to do better in order to win these contests?
Well, I think when they face a tough defense, passing the ball is a good option, but sometimes you need to try to kick the ball around the defense. There are ways you can get around the defense without getting off sides, and they need to figure that out because Atlanta was just so tight. It was like you go back to Civil War times, the Stonewall Jackson idea.
Yeah.
That's what Atlanta was doing. They were
Yeah, they really did.
stonewalling them, and Huntsville just had no answers for it.
I mean, they had a really good bubble when it came to the goal. I think that it was pretty wide open until it got close to the net, and then Atlanta was shoulder to shoulder. Like you couldn't break through that wall.
Yes, but one thing I think Huntsville needs to do, what they did in their last match, is kick longer goals because they're good at it.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of that in this game. They
have a
tried to
history, yes.
penetrate the wall.
Huntsville has a history of kicking longer goals. If you look back in the history
Okay.
of all the long goals, they could have done that more against Atlanta. Yes, they probably would have missed, but I would have loved to see the attempt to get to the goal. And there was just it didn't seem like there was an attempt because they seemed defeated by the fact that Atlanta was just stopping them.
I could see that. They came out in the international orange. I will say it grew on me a little bit, but not much.
Well, if you think about the international orange, like the astronauts wear the orange suits now.
They do.
That's exactly why they wear it, because they want to feature that.
And maybe because they've been on the road, I haven't been able to see them up close. Maybe they're a lot nicer up close, but on TV, they just, man, it's so hard to get behind those jerseys for me. And maybe that's a personal thing. I don't know. So next week, they're playing this weekend at home against Chattanooga.
Chattanooga's our rival, our big rival.
I didn't know that. So what makes them the rival? Is it the proximity? Is it just
It's the proximity.
that makes
And
perfect
if
sense.
you look at Atlanta, they're our number 2 rival because of the proximity.
Right. I can see that.
But yeah, we generally go toe and toe against Chattanooga.
So this should be a really good game considering that they're back at Wicks Field this week.
Yes.
They've got some time to be at home. Kind of a short turnaround going from Sunday game to Saturday game. But generally, I feel it's going to be a really good game.
Yes.
Looking at the early season stats, clearances should be a big deal in this game. Chattanooga is really good this season at 8.3 per game. They have a strong number of shots on goal with 6.3 compared to Huntsville's 5.
Yeah.
However, and I think here's going to be the big difference in this game, Huntsville leads in every other category.
Yes, but also if you look at it, when we lose, we lose. When we win, we win.
Yeah.
Because if you look at our goal differential, it's based on our losses. It is terrible. I mean, when we started this match, we were at 1.5 goal differential for 2 games. That's not good to start the season.
No, not at all.
So if we score and we win big, we can help that out. Right now, we're close to the bottom in the East.
They have to score goals. That is for sure. I just worry that the clearances are going to be too much for them to overcome. And maybe the home does make that big of a difference, being home, playing at Wicks Field, getting that home field advantage. They have to tighten up on defense and stay on the offense more.
Yes, we need more defense and more shots on goal. We need more shots on goal. To me, it doesn't matter if you miss the shot per se. I just want to see the attempt there to see that you're trying, you're putting that forward.
Yeah, get more shots, apply more pressure,
Yes,
make them tighten down as a defense.
yes, because Atlanta was good from the start.
They really were. I mean, from Huntsville's first possession, they applied pressure the entire game.
And I think Huntsville needs to go back and look at all of that and learn from it. Because right now, where they stand, this is a learning curve.
And watching this game, I really thought that Atlanta United 2 did a phenomenal job of locking down Muhammad. He wasn't much of a difference maker in this game.
No, they really, Atlanta, I feel like, watched the tape and they saw who he is as a player and just kept him on lock.
So knowing what we know, what happens next week?
I think it's going to be a really tight match. I think that it's going to be a 2-1 match, but I'm not sure who's going to win because this is like a rivalry game, so I can't say who's going to win. I know who I want to win.
Yeah.
I want Huntsville to win, but I just don't know if I have on them that they can come out and win, but I just don't know if they're going to do it, but I'm really hoping.
So here's my unpopular opinion. I think Chattanooga's defense is too much. I think they clear the ball too many times. They don't give a lot of times the score for Huntsville. And I think it's a 3-1 match. And I know that seems to be my favorite number, but I think it's a good one. I think Chattanooga comes up big on the road and beats Huntsville at home in the home opener and spoils it for them. We will also have Tabby from Shotgun Sports Network at the game. She's going to write an article on it, and I'm excited to hear her take on it. I will be at the Havoc game covering the Havoc, but she will be there at that game, so we'll be without Tabby for our Havoc.
So she's not going to be at the Havoc game, but she gets to go watch some soccer for us, and she gets to bring back some feedback, and she can bring us feedback on the jerseys and the players and how they're playing, and so that way we can possibly use that article per se to add more to the podcast.
I agree. I think it'll be really nice to get somebody from Shotgun Sports Network there to get a firsthand view of them. I mean, we can't be there. We have to be at the Havoc.
Yeah, because we know how the atmosphere is at the Havoc, but how's the atmosphere in Wick's Family Field?
And I think that's some things she's going to take away from the game is the atmosphere, how they played. Tabby played a lot of soccer, so she knows the game well.
Yes.
So that'll be really nice for us.
And you know, I know when that soccer field used to be a former baseball stadium when
The Trash Pandas used to play there, right? But they weren't the Trash Pandas at the time.
It was the Huntsville Stars.
The Stars.
Yeah, they played from 1980 to 2014. Now I know how the atmosphere was in there, and I could just imagine that atmosphere transitioning into soccer is just helping that team out.
I'm excited. I hope I get to go to a game out there. I think it would be a lot of fun. I've never really been to an MLS Next Pro game. I've been to an Atlanta United game. As we've talked, I'm not a huge soccer guy. I didn't grow up in it. I don't really know a lot about it. But I think it would be fun to go and see one of these games.
Yeah, it would be really fun because they feed into the community a lot. The park around them, the John Hunt Park over there, is really turned into a soccer area, and just that team also helps develop younger players. They pour into the community and want to develop players as well.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the goal of all sports, isn't it? It's to kind of feed the youth, get people interested in sports, keep kids out of bad activities,
Yes.
and keep everybody moving forward in a positive direction. And it takes supports from all the professional teams in order to do that.
Yes, and I'm thankful that we have a community right there that's built on soccer.
And to be honest, that was one of the things that really shocked me moving to Huntsville was how into their sports they are.
Yes.
I did not expect it to be the hockey capital that it is. They love their Havoc. I'm excited to see what the attendance is like for one of these Cosmic Goat games. And Tabby will give us a little bit of feedback on that. I've been to a Trash Pandas game. I played a lot of ball when I was a kid, coming up through high school. I've been to a few Trash Pandas games. They were a blast. I love going to Trash Panda games. So I'm excited for them in their season, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Yes. Yes.
But let's get into the Havoc, shall we?
The Huntsville Havoc.
So this week they went down, up, I should say, to Knoxville and to Evansville. Both of them felt like must-win games.
Yes, they definitely did.
I want to talk about the arena. I went to Knoxville this weekend. I got a chance to go to that game. The seats are not as uncomfortable as they look on TV.
They're not?
No, they're really not. They were really comfortable. For being the wooden slat seats, they were really comfortable.
I thought you were going to come home with a splinter.
I did not. I also want to give a big shout out to the Knoxville fans. We had a lot of people that came up to us and gave credit to the Havoc fan base and said how much they enjoy coming to Huntsville, how nice the Huntsville fans were, how glad they were to see us in Knoxville. I mean, I heckle the crowd. I'm really good at it usually. So getting to interact with those fans, nobody got bent out of shape. We had a lot of fun. They heckled me. I heckled them. At the end of the day, when we went to leave, it was thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
Have a safe trip home. We hope you make it home safe. Thank you to Ice Bear fans. We really appreciate the hospitality. And also, why'd you have to do us like that?
I know. I just think Knoxville is just like Birmingham for us. We just don't play good in their arena.
I don't even know if it was so much their arena, and I don't want to knock an ice crew. However, Willie knocked it off the mooring once. I don't know if he said anything to a referee. I know they put it back on the mooring, or they thought they put it back on the mooring, and then he touched it and the goal flew. What sucked for the Havoc in that was those goals counted.
Yeah,
Because he was in a shooting motion when it happened, the goals count. Now, had something been done or the goal would have flung sooner, they would have stopped the game, fixed the goal.
Well, if you look back like 2 or 3 plays previous,
Yes,
one of the players hit that goal and broke it. And you could clearly see where they hit it hard enough to break it, but the rest didn't catch it.
they didn't.
But one thing a lot of people goalies is that, especially Brian Wilson, he likes to hug the post really much.
Very much. And those moorings have a little bit of give, but they only have so much. And he likes to use them to his advantage. And I think a lot of goalies do.
Yes, a lot of goalies really do.
You try to get your skate there and kind of hug the post and get away that back corner shot.
Yeah.
While we're talking about goalies, Mundinger was there. Steven Mundinger was there, but he was not on the ice.
Oh, y'all saw him.
We did see him. He was behind the goal. I didn't get a chance to talk to him with the travel back. I didn't want to stay after and really prolong it a whole lot. But I know he's on 30-day IR. He had an injury. Semi-serious, semi-not. I hope he's okay. I hope he'll make it back for playoffs. The Ice Bears weren't the same without him. Green did a fantabulous job, but it wasn't Mundinger in the goal.
Well, I think Green is going to be a great backup for him going into the future.
Very much.
I think the other one
he did a fantastic job.
I think the other goalie that had Wong, he was just too inexperienced, and he just didn't fit what they were looking for. And when we go to Sunday's game for the Huntsville Havoc, and you look at Alex Proctor the way he played, I think.
Well, don't spoil it for him.
I know.
I can't wait to get to that part my own self. The first period of this Ice Bear Havoc game was a nail biter. It was back and forth. There were lots of shots. Brian Wilson made a lot of really, really great stops in this game, especially in that first period. In the second period, the wheels kind of fell off for the Havoc, but they weren't exactly out of it. The Havoc scored early.
Yes, they did.
3:24 into the second period, they go up 1-0.
Yes.
And it really felt like, okay, we're going to push for home ice here.
Well, knowing that, do you feel like Brian Wilson gained his composure from when the goal was broken?
Personal opinion, no. I think that those two goals really bothered him, and I don't know if he was able to really shake it moving forward. Brian Wilson doesn't get irate or mad about much on the ice. He's pretty cool, calm, and collective. He was pretty pissed when that happened. He charged out of the net to the referee. Coach Stu was talking to the referee. They reviewed it. There was a lot of controversy that surrounded that. And I felt like could have been a deflating moment for the Havoc in general.
Yeah.
I think they all collectively were a little bit downed by that.
Yeah, but I think we're all surprised that Brian Wilson didn't get suspended for it.
I don't think he got that irate. It wasn't as bad as it was in the Macon game.
Yeah, because I know that those watching on TV didn't get to see that moment because it didn't show it at all.
He slapped his stick on the ground a few times. He got the ref's attention. He charged to the ref. And I don't want to say he did it angrily. I think it was more of a hurried fashion of, hey, we need to look at this. This isn't okay. Then they came out, they fixed it, and we didn't have any more ice problems for the rest of the game. So credit to the ice crew for getting that taken care of and fixed and kept it fair.
So overall, you really think that got our spirits down, and we tried to come back from it, but we just couldn't.
We really couldn't. I think the third period they tried, but there were a lot of breakaways and breakdowns in the Havoc defense
Yeah.
that left Willie in really bad positions. 2-on-1s and 3-on-1s isn't a good place to be as a goalie. There were a lot of really good shots where 2-on-1 they charge the net, they pass right before the crease, and then slide it behind him.
Yeah.
I have to credit the Ice Bears in this game. They put a lot of really good shots on that.
I think the Ice Bears took advantage of Wilson being shaken by that goal being broken. They realized he was shaken and that they could take advantage of our defense a little bit because our whole team just seemed shaken by it.
Except for Ben Schultheis.
Yes, Ben, he was on point.
He was lights out in this game. His defense, his board play, and he scored goals, which isn't a big thing for him. He does take a lot of shots usually.
Oh, he does, yes.
But he found the net in this one, and
Oh.
it kept Huntsville in it for a good while. A really good while. And I really liked his play, being able to watch him and command the defense and kind of take control a little bit from the backside.
Yeah, well,
It was really fun to watch.
watching him play in this game, it was like I could see how far he's come with the Havoc, and now he's grown to be a hockey player from where he was at the beginning of the season.
I do notice that as well. He's gotten a lot better as the season has gone on, and I'm excited to see what his future looks like with the Havoc. Towards the beginning of the season, he wasn't one of my favorite players,
No.
but he's really kind of grown on me, to be honest. He really, really has. I have to credit him a lot for this Ice Bears Havoc game. I feel like this was kind of that shining moment for him where all the pieces come together.
Yeah.
And he's now firing on all cylinders, and we can finally get a piece of what the coaches see.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there are a lot of these great moments that he has in practice. Obviously, that's why he's still with the team. But he finally got all the pieces together. He got open one-timers on the net. He played good defense. He pushed the puck forward, made the right passes. His vision was definitely there.
So, do you think eventually he could be an alternate captain for the team?
I don't know.
We all know as long as Dom's playing, he's probably going to be the captain.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't know if you'll strip Reggie of the alternate or Kessner.
Yeah.
Late in the game, however, the barn exploded. I mean, everybody's wheels fell off. We had a lot of penalties. Lincoln Earn and Cole Reginato both got penalties for inciting an opponent. Charlie Risk got a boarding, fighting, and continuing altercation penalty. And the Ice Bears had Dawson McKinney for fighting, Jimmy and Kyle Soper both inciting an opponent for 10 minutes. And it was a scrum in the corner. I'm not sure exactly what happened to cause it. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It all happened really fast, and then the pile happened. I didn't really understand how Cole Reginato got a penalty. For somebody who has as many fights and penalty moments as he has,
Yeah.
he was actually seemingly trying to break up.
Yeah, he
the
seemed
scrum.
yeah he seemed pretty calm. I think because of his injury that he had earlier in the season, I just think that he's more weary of trying to get into fights.
I think it's that, and I think Coach Stu's done a fantastic job of talking with them and kind of reining them in some. We got to score goals.
Yeah.
We can't just fight the whole game.
Yeah, because we're number two in penalties this year.
We are. We are. Roanoke definitely leads the pack, however.
Yes.
They have a lot of penalty minutes and lead the entire league in penalties.
Yeah, but when you're down in a game, you don't need to take your frustrations out and do one small minor thing that will cause the other team to react and cause that kind of brawl. I think they were just minor things they were doing frustratedly,
Yeah.
and the other team just like took it as they were going for them, but it wasn't what they were doing. They were just upset at themselves.
Well, and not even that, because it can lead to more, right? So you look at Semino from Evansville gets a boarding call, which absolutely was a boarding call.
Yes.
And that wasn't a great play. It really wasn't. There was somebody that was injured from that, pretty seriously injured. He was put on season-ending IR.
Yeah.
So that wasn't that's not the kind of hockey that anybody kind of wants to watch. But it turns to suspensions when you have these scrums like that. You let your tempers flare, you get into the heat of the moment, and next thing you know, you punish your team because you have to sit out for 2 games.
Yeah, but do you think 2 games was fair when another guy didn't get to play the rest of the season?
I don't.
You think he should have been suspended indefinitely?
I think the way the rules are set up, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But it, in my opinion, was a dirty hit.
Yes, that was totally illegal.
So our takeaways from the Knoxville game. I was at the game. You got to watch it from home.
Yes.
What were your takeaways from the game, watching it from the big screen? Where I was, I couldn't see the bench boards. My seats weren't high enough. So I didn't, it was very hard to look up, look down, look up, look down. Luckily, in the Knoxville Arena, that they do have a Jumbotron. So it made it a little bit easier, but it was still really hard to see the bench and those front boards there.
From my takeaways at home, I think the Havoc were skating slower than they usually do. Their speed was not there. Wilson just threw the whole team off by being angry about the goal, even though they didn't show that per se on TV, which I'm kind of glad they didn't show that on TV because all the family friendly environment they're trying to produce for the program, that would not have been family friendly. And I know he's gotten angry before at home, but that just would not have gone well on the broadcast. And I think that was a good job for Flo doing that to keep that. And I think with Knoxville beating us, they have a great fan base from what I've heard.
They do. They really do. It was really a fun time hanging out with the Ice Bear fans. It really was. And that's hard to say. It's hard to go to some barns and get compliments and to get, I mean, these people, I was sitting in my seat and people would come up to us and, how was your drive in? We're so glad you can make it. Thank you for coming. We love you guys. We plan on making a trip to Huntsville soon.
But to hear that being Tennessee, Alabama is
Yeah.
totally different than when you watch college football.
Yeah.
Tennessee Volunteers
They hate
versus
each
Alabama
other.
Crimson Tide.
They absolutely
I'm
hate
so
each other.
glad that we can have that camaraderie with another
Yeah.
team. And
It really felt like a family in the arena, no matter what side you
and
were
that it's
on.
more than just sports.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was one fan in particular that I heckled a lot. And we were going to leave and they were telling us to go home and, the same old heckled stuff when you're getting booed out of a barn.
Yeah,
And
warm up the bus chant and all that.
yeah, all of that was there. And then I remember turning around and waving to her and going, bye, bye. And she was like, hey, you guys be safe going home. Y'all make it home safe. We'll see you guys in the playoffs.
See, that's more than just sports.
Absolutely.
That is person to person.
Absolutely.
That's what we need more of in sports in general. Is that camaraderie.
So let's move forward to another great part of the weekend. Sunday, the Huntsville Havoc took on the Evansville Thunderbolts, and we got to see Alex Proctor with his first start of the season.
Yes, we sure did.
I think in his debut, he played great. He's very young. He's a rookie. He just finished college. He comes in to the Evansville, which was surprisingly empty. It didn't look like there was a whole lot of people there at that barn. And I think that might have helped because there wasn't the noise factor.
Yeah, there was no hardly noise in there. They were showing more of the Havoc fans that were from the bus trip
Yeah.
than they were showing Evansville fans.
Shout out to the Booster Club for doing that bus trip. It looked like a lot of people really got to enjoy that.
Yes, it looked fun.
I wanted to go on the bus trip, but traveling to Knoxville the day before, it was just super hard to make it to Evansville the next day.
Yeah, the bus trip just would have been too much.
Yeah.
Especially having to go to work the next day and do all the things you have to do being an adult.
Yeah, and I think it helps going on a bus trip like that, not having to drive. Driving can be exhausting. Evansville isn't really a far trip, so to say, but on a Sunday afternoon, it can be a lot.
Yeah.
The first period was scoreless between the two. Great stops from both sides of the ice. Penalties were kept to a minimum.
Yes.
Overall, it was a very clean game.
And I think the refs did a really good job.
They did. They did. They let them play, but they called the penalties that needed to be called. It was a very fair balance.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the same crew from the night before.
I'm not sure. I didn't really look into that one, so I'm not sure who was where. It looked like the same crew based on the numbers, but by the name, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts go on the board first. Just under 3 minutes into the second period, we get a goal from Malika. It was his first professional goal. I'm sure that's a big moment at home against the Havoc. Playoffs are tight. I think that was great. He was assisted by Miller and Curtin. Then we move to Dawson. Dawson answers back. Gets assisted by Lincoln Earn and Kevin Weaver Vitale. Which Weaver Vitale's kind of been up and down. He's been Jekyll and Hyde lately.
Yeah,
Some games he's really great, and in other games he's not the it factor.
Yeah, if you look back to Saturday, he struggled because he had some pucks bounce off of him and go into our own goal.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
So I think he was trying to take a step back this game and just be a team player, not try to get in the way, because I think he thought he was in the way. Because there wasn't a lot of highlights on him in this game, but minus the assist and stuff that he got. And he was still getting the playing time, but I just feel like he was trying to be not where he was the night before.
Do you think it's maybe a thing of where he was trying to do too much rather than playing a role, so to say?
Well, I think all the things that went wrong started with the goal going wrong in that last game, and he was trying to help the team recover that, and he was trying, like you said, do a little bit just too much, and he was in the wrong place, wrong time, and it just happened, and it happens in sports sometimes like that.
Well, Evansville wouldn't take long. They'd tie it up with a goal from Scott Curtin, assisted by Miller and McIntosh. However, less than 30 seconds later, the Havoc are back on the board. We get a goal from Connor Fries, and we get an assist from Reggie, which it was really nice to see how they all interacted together. And some of the guys that are newer to the club kind of really cemented their foot in, hey, I'm here to play hockey, and I'm here to help the Havoc win.
But you got to think, though, Connor Fries and Reggie, Cole Reginato, they were on IR not too long ago.
Right.
And here they are coming back out, and they're making an impact immediately.
Yes. Just under halfway through the third period, Dawson Chirino would score another goal, and assisted by Ben Schultheis and Phil Exdam. Here is where I felt he kind of cemented his place with the Havoc. He played some of the year with Pensacola. Again, there's Schultheis right in it again, right in the mix, which, like I said earlier, I think this was a huge, huge weekend for him in putting all the pieces of professional hockey together.
Yeah, it really was.
This was the game-winning goal. This was the one that sealed the deal, Alex Proctor had a lot of great stops after this, and they got the W in Evansville, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. Evansville is a really, really good team.
Yes, and even when they were down last year, number 7, they still won the championship.
You can never count the Thunderbolts out.
No.
I have to tip my hat to them. They played hard
Yes.
the entire game.
But I just don't think they had the fan base to support them to get them that extra oomph.
Yeah, and I get that it was a Sunday game, but it was an early Sunday game, but there was also some weather. They were under tornado warnings. They were looking at a snowstorm coming through. So I understand it.
Yeah.
I really do. But the Havoc played a much different game Sunday than they did Saturday.
Yeah, whatever the Havoc talked about on the trip from Knoxville to Evansville, that right there was the ultimate way that they need to do more of their bus trips, because I don't whatever Coach Stu said, I was happy.
They
I
had
was,
two penalties in this game. All right, looking ahead. We've got Roanoke coming to town this weekend. We got to see them a couple weeks ago in their barn, but we get a couple weekends at home, and it's much needed.
But when we saw them last time in their barn, we split.
We did. We split a series. We lost one, and then we won one in a shootout. I think this weekend is going to be another interesting game and how this all ties together.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, we haven't had a home game in over a month. So I think the fans are ready, they're juiced, and they want to see it.
I think the Havoc crowd is gonna be so loud for this
And
game.
on Saturday it's wrestling night, so that's gonna be even more juiced.
Let's get ready to rumble. Hopefully, there's not a lot of fights, but
I know. And then we got racing night coming up.
we do. That should be
And that.
I really like that jersey, by the way.
Oh, that jersey's
That
awesome.
NASCAR jersey is really cool.
Have you seen the patch on it? It says President's Cup.
Yes.
Man, I love that patch.
That is so
NASCAR.
custom. Yeah, it's so custom though. I love it. I love it.
That jersey's gonna sell out versus the one last year.
I think the Havoc might have found something over the weekend. I think they took a tough loss in Knoxville.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of found something, not only in themselves, but also a little bit of relief from the goalie sides. Realizing that we have a good backup goalie. He's young, he's fresh, but he's got the moves. He's got the moves like Jagger.
He does.
I think morally they got the pick me up that they needed. I think Roanoke coming into town, they played Roanoke really well in Roanoke, being back in the VBC, being in the props arena, having the rowdiest fans in the South, rooting them on. And like you said, we haven't had hockey in Huntsville in a month.
Yeah, a month.
I am itching
Yes.
to ring my cowbell, to blow my horn and scream, "Let's go Havoc."
And one thing to add about the Roanoke, there's been a lot of Roanoke fans that have come to Huntsville.
Yeah.
And they have said great things about how we do the intro to the hockey game, that app we have. And even last year, there was a couple that came from Roanoke, and they were at team poster night getting it signed. And they were like, this is our second favorite team in the SPHL.
And I love that with just SPHL fans in general, that they're able to not just have one favorite team. I know Tabby's second favorite team is the Ice Bears, so she was kind of in the middle when we went to Knoxville. I don't really know if I have a second team.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really love the Havoc. I love the colors. Red and black has been a thing for me for over a decade now. I just think that coming back to the VBC, getting back with the crowd, finding that groove, being on the up and up from that game on Sunday, I think this weekend's going to be great for the Havoc to kind of move forward in the standings and get that home ice advantage.
Going to get to feel the floor rumble, because last year they had the floor rumbling.
So, is it, because I wasn't here last year, so are we going to have some wrestling matches before the game?
Yes.
Oh man, this is going to be great.
There's a company that they get to come out, and they'll have a ring in there, and everybody gets out in the lobby, and they just go all out. During the intermissions, in between the periods, that the wrestlers come out on the ice and do some of their stuff, and it's just so cool to watch.
That sounds like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I'm not a real big wrestling fan. I was when I was a kid. But I think that'll be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Oh, yes. I mean, the kids really enjoyed it last year. All the kids were just like cheering and screaming because they just loved it so much. I think that's another reason why they brought it back because it was, you know how
It
wrestling.
was a crowd favorite.
Yeah, because you know how wrestling sometimes can get not family friendly.
Yeah,
This is family friendly wrestling.
that's awesome. So we got Roanoke coming in, and Roanoke is really riding a hot stick right now. They're one of the hotter teams in the SPHL. They're 7-1, 1-1, and riding a 5-game winning streak. It's not going to be easy. It's not a given for the Havoc in this matchup. And I don't think any game in the SPHL this season really is a gimme. All 10 teams are really good. Anybody can almost beat anybody on any given night. I know it's a really tight playoff race in the bottom. I think they had some stumbles earlier in the season, and that kind of what has them set towards the bottom. Everybody's made a lot of roster moves as of late. But I mean, I think even the 9 and 10 can win a lot of games. I think that everybody's kind of found themselves, and the race is so tight. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But I think the race is so tight you can't count anybody out.
Yes, but you said roster moves. The Havoc really hadn't made too many roster moves as of late in the past week.
No, they haven't. We put Lindsey on IR. Ethan Lindsey went on IR. I'm unsure what the reasoning is, but he's on a 14-day. Frank Trezera is still on the 14-day IR. Connor Fry's come off of the IR.
Which I thought, Ishmael getting released, I thought
That was interesting.
yeah, because he actually played great.
I think he played pretty good. I think it came down to a decision of maybe one guy or another, and I'm not qualified enough to make the calls of who it would have been. But I think it came down to maybe one guy or another, knowing what you have on IR and who's going to come back, creating those roster spots. And he might not have been a good fit in the locker room. There's so many tangibles that go into making these player decisions that as fans we don't really get to see that.
No, we don't.
I think coming into this weekend, I think we'll see Brian Wilson in the goal on Friday night.
Yes, I really think we will.
I think we'll see him in the goal Friday night. I think he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to get a shutout. I really do. I think he's upset about what happened in Knoxville, and he's got a point to prove, and I think he's going to separate himself and become the sole leader in shutout standings this weekend.
I can definitely see that, but Roanoke I feel like is just too good. They're gonna squeak one by him.
I agree that they are a really good team. However, when we look back, I mean, he got a shutout. His last shutout was Roanoke.
Yes, it was.
I think he has the stuff to do it. I think that if they are able to get the shutout, or even I would say just a win. I wouldn't say a shutout necessarily, but a win on Friday. I think it's possible you see Proctor on Saturday.
Yes.
I say that because I would want to gauge what's he prepared for in playoffs. What can we see from him? Looking forward, how much does Willie have to play?
He really hasn't had much of a backup this season, so he's really had to play and take a lot of shots.
No, and I hate to be the guy who kind of pins the world down here. I think Alex Proctor played better than Skinner did. And I know that's probably not a great take, but I think he was at a higher level than Skinner was. And nothing against Skinner. Proctor really looked good. And Skinner did have his games where he looked good as well, but there were also a lot where I felt like he gave up easier goals than, I mean, Proctor made a lot of really great saves, and I get we have very short windows to see these guys in, and especially with Brian Wilson being so great, he plays a ton. I think it's maybe a little bit of breath for him to watch Proctor get the win on the road, keeping a strong Evansville team held down. I mean, the goal that they scored was a great goal.
I think that was a great move to put Proctor in so that they could keep Wilson on the bench, so that he could take a game just to be calm,
Yeah.
be chill, and just to get back to who Brian Wilson is, because we don't need him in that form he was in at Knoxville. We need him in championship form.
We do, and that comes with some rest and having a good backup. And not that Skinner wasn't a good backup. I think he was. I just don't know if he was a great fit for the Havoc. And that's okay. I mean, there's team dynamics. I will say that when I watched Proctor warm up in Knoxville, they do the little shooting game at the
Yeah,
net.
yeah, they do.
2 shots in, they were done. And I was like, oh man, this doesn't look good. You fast forward from Saturday to Sunday, and it was a completely different goalie. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't let hardly anything behind him.
Yeah, but there's just those people that in practice they just do so-so, but when they get out and get
Yeah.
in the moment of the game, they knock it out of the park.
And he did. I have to give him that. So let's look at playoffs. The playoff race is just continuing to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Not only to get in for home ice, but from second to fifth is a 3-point swing. So
Yeah.
we're a weekend series and you can have home ice. I mean, it's just that tight of a contest between them all. The Havoc currently sit at 5, but like we said, it's 3 points. They could get a couple losses, some help from some other barns, and be in second place.
Yeah, but if you look at the Havoc, they've played 51 games. Some other teams have already played 52 and 53.
Correct.
So we still have some more games to play to get more points.
I agree, and I think that'll really help them. They're 1 point out of home ice, and a sweep this weekend could put them in second place. I won't say that they'll have a great lead in second place, but it's nice to see a 2 in front of your name instead of a 5.
It would. It would be really nice, but I just don't think they're going to get that close up there. I just don't think that's going to. I don't think they want to be there. I think they want to get home ice and then just prove from there that they can take it.
So yeah, Friday we have racing night with those super clean jerseys.
Yes.
I think I think they get a win on Friday night with Brian Wilson in the net.
Oh yes.
Do you agree?
Oh yes. Those those jerseys I think just make you want to just get into a fire suit and just go get in a NASCAR
Vroom,
and just go
vroom.
race. And I think Brian Wilson with his goalie mask on is gonna look almost like a NASCAR driver in goal, and that's gonna look so sweet.
It really will. I'm curious to see what buckets they come out in. I would like to see him in black just because the color of the uniform, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the red ones as well. I think the red ones would match too, but I feel like we've got kind of a hit and miss relationship with the red buckets this year.
Yeah, we do.
And when we move into Saturday, Saturday's wrestling night. I think Proctor gets a start, and here's why. Doors open at 5. The crowd is pumped. What better way to have your home debut than against the potential number 2 seed at the time? And who knows where these standings could go over the weekend, especially after Friday night. There's so many teams playing. But to have 6,000 plus fans behind you screaming, I don't know if he's really experienced that. So it would be nice for him to kind of see what that feels like, how he reacts earlier versus if something were to happen and need that in the playoffs and not know.
Yeah, seeing him play is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because just hearing that he wants to get a goalie goal, maybe he might get one in that game.
I thought he was going to get one against Evansville.
He
I
was-
was hoping for him.
Yeah, he was trying.
He really was. So we've got first place Peoria travels to Knoxville this weekend. And I think this is going to be a really, really great matchup. The Rivermen are just 3-7 in their last 10 games. The month of January, they were hot. They didn't lose a game in January.
Nope.
And then since then, they've kind of slid off a little bit. That lead is kind of shrunken and it's getting tighter. And I think the Ice Bears are starting to gain momentum. They've got a goalie back there besides Mundinger that they can trust. Their passing was really well. Their shooting was really well. The defense was really well. I honestly think The Ice Bears might be able to sneak one or two of them in here.
Yeah, they might be able to. But do you think a team can catch Peoria though and get into first?
I mean,
If Peoria keeps losing like they are?
I do. I think if Peoria stays on this skid like they are, I really think a second place team can catch them. They're not unreachable. I think maybe they've kind of backed off because they've already kind of gotten their playoff spot. They're already clinched.
Yeah. They may be trying to rest a few players
I think that's part of it.
just to get ready.
I think that's part of it. But then that also makes you question, does the rest help? Do these guys get rusty? What's that going to look like in the playoffs? And it could just, I haven't really got a chance to watch a Peoria game over the weekend. I'm curious to see just kind of what's going on there. What's got them in this skid? Then we've got Pensacola traveling down to the sixth place Birmingham Bulls. It should be another great matchup. I really feel that, I mean, almost all of these games have been really good as of late. And Birmingham is another really, really hot team. 7-3 in their past 10.
Yeah.
Pensacola's 4-4, 1-1.
I think that lead leans more towards Birmingham.
I do, especially in their barn. And I'm kind of curious how that works with Pensacola as it does with the Havoc. You know, the Hangar's a bigger arena, as just like the Havoc play in the
Yeah.
BBC. And I think that having to go to that small barn, it's really tight. The ice feels small. I'm just curious on how that keeps moving forward. Pensacola hasn't exactly had a slide, but they haven't been dominating. But they're finding ways to stay in and win games.
They are, but I think Hayden Stewart from Birmingham gets a shutout. He's becoming
Wow.
he's becoming one of the top tier goalies in the SPHL.
I don't disagree with you there, but you're calling a shutout?
Yes, he's gonna get a shutout.
I think Birmingham's been good enough as of late with their goal scorers and their defense where you can't count them out. And they've taken a lot of games to the very end. Even when they were down, they find ways to come back, stay in games, make you make mistakes, bait you into penalties, and then score on power plays.
Yeah, I think Birmingham's gonna use this game as a warm up game. I think they're gonna dominate in their barn and use this as a warm up game for the Huntsville Havoc coming up.
I think they're going to need it. I hope. We need the hammer.
We need the yellow hammer back.
Bring back the hammer.
Dominic Procopio looked so strong with that hammer.
We should just call him Thor.
Yes, he is Thor.
So Evansville has a weekend series and they're traveling up to Quad City. Quad City is another team that's really gotten hot as of late. They've made some roster moves. They've kind of shifted some things around. They're 5-4, 0-1 in their last 10. So they're finding ways to stay in games, win games, and not make a lot of the mistakes that they did in the past. I think it's been kind of a hard slate for them this year.
Yeah, it really has.
I think they've made a lot of roster moves and they're trying to cement some guys into their rotation to get them to be a top tier contender. What I think helps them this week is that Semino's out for Saturday for the penalty from Knoxville last weekend. So I think that gets them one. I don't know if they can really get two, so to say, from Evansville, but I think they get one.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these games, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of drive and competitiveness to make the playoffs, to get home ice, to put themselves in a position to dominate.
Yeah, but you look at Evansville though, them traveling, that's a really close distance for
It
them.
really is.
And they really just want a win because a team that they probably looked at as mid tier, Huntsville Havoc, which we don't. We think they're one of the best.
Right.
But Evansville probably said, "Oh, this is a mid tier team coming in here. We can take them. We can beat them." But no, you can't sleep on any team.
You really
'Cause,
can't.
I mean, even though Quad City's like lower down, you still can't sleep on them because all the games they have played have been so close.
Right.
They've won by minimal margins and lost by minimal margins.
Agreed. Agreed. They're in a lot of those games, And I think it's just been finding who fits where in the game plan to just kind of get over that hump a little bit.
Yeah, and if Quad City would have made just a few more moves, they could have been undefeated through that stretch. They have the talent to do it.
They do, and I mean they went 6-4 in their last 10, so that they're finding the keys to win now. It's they're finding ways to be in games as they were before, but not just be in them, but to shut the door on them
Yes.
and to get the W's. We've got a little bit of a lower end of the SPHL, and I don't mean that in any kind of slight. It's just the way the rankings work out. But you got Fayetteville hosting Macon, and Macon's been another team that they've really made some improvements, and you can't really count either one of these teams out because they can play lights out when it counts.
Yeah, they're one of those teams where like they feel like I don't know if we can make the playoffs, but we can disrupt where the other teams
Yes.
get into the playoffs.
Yes, very much. Very much. And they're all trying to make that push for playoffs. And those guys at the bottom, there's not many points that separate them, but they're all playing so tight down there. I remember when Huntsville went to Fayetteville, those were two tough games.
Yeah.
That was not an easy series for the Havoc by any stretch. And they've made some roster changes. Macon came into Huntsville recently, and those were really tough games. So I think that everybody's kind of got themselves in a position to make a run. It's just what team can beat what team. And I think that's really going to be the hard part of trying to figure out this playoff race.
You know, I feel at this point in the playoff race, you have to win. You have to win
Yeah.
each and every one of your games. Splitting is okay because it keeps you there, but to get the maximum amount of points, you just got to win, 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 and that's what we need the Havoc to do this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got Knoxville and Peoria splitting. What do you think?
I think Peoria, they really have the talent to go and beat Knoxville,
Definitely.
but knowing how they've been playing lately and how Knoxville's goalie has been playing, Knoxville's gonna get a sweep.
You're bringing out the broom in Knoxville.
Yes.
Wow. So Bulls and Ice Flyers. I think the Bulls sweep here. I think it's really hard to go to Birmingham and play and win on that ice. And especially the way they've been playing as of late, I just don't know if the Ice Flyers can put enough pieces together. I think that one comes down to penalties. I think it's going to come down to everybody maintaining their composure to help the team and not getting irate, angry, not a lot of fights, not a lot of tripping calls and boardings. I think that one's going to come down to the penalty minutes as a decider.
Yeah, I think Birmingham Bulls are gonna sweep. I think Birmingham has the team to keep the composure. They can keep the composure more in a game, and they allow other teams to pick on them a little too much and then get into it.
Yeah.
But I think the ultimate deciding factor is not going to be the penalties. It's not going to be anything else. It's going to be Hayden Stewart. Like I said, he's going to get a shutout. Hayden Stewart is really going to be the highlight. He's going to be the first star in that game.
Wow. I can really see it. I've watched a little bit of the Birmingham Bulls games on TV as well as in person. And I think he's a really great goalie. I really do. I think he's a really great goalie. But then we move into the Huntsville Roanoke. My heart wants Huntsville to sweep this, but I think they're going to split with Roanoke. I really do. I just think something along the lines, the way that the Havoc have played lately, I don't know if it's going to be enough for one of the games.
Not a chance. The themes are going to help the team to win.
You're calling a sweep in Huntsville?
Honestly, wrestling night is going to boost them up. Racing night is going to just make the Havoc skate faster because they want to be NASCAR fast.
So are they going to slam them down on wrestling night and rev it up on racing night?
Yes, 110%.
So then we've got Quad City and Evansville. I think this is another split. I really do. I think that Evansville not having Semino for their first game is still kind of a difference maker, and I think him coming back for the second game is kind of what helps propel Evansville to a win.
Yeah, that would be 2 losses in a row for them if they do that, and that would be a really big thing because he could go back and say, well, I wasn't at those 2 games because I did this. Maybe that's on me,
Right.
but he shouldn't put that on him because that's the team.
No, he shouldn't, but then also it comes down to the bad decisions punish your team.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of one of the big things that Huntsville's done kind of well this year is they haven't had a lot of the suspensions. I don't know if they've
No.
had any of the
The
suspensions.
penalties that they've had, yes, they're the second most penalized team, have been mainly either 5-minute fightings
Yeah.
or just basically just 2-minute penalties.
Right.
There haven't been a lot of players kicked out of the game. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
Brian Wilson was really close, I felt, in Knoxville to almost getting to that point where he could have gotten suspended, but then he pulled it back and was like, wait, I cannot get suspended because I have a young guy under me that I'm trying to help develop and trying to be a good backup.
I think he was closer in the Macon game than he was in the Knoxville game.
Yeah.
The end of that Macon game, I thought Willie was gonna rip the goals
He
out.
was irate.
That was I love Willie, and I don't blame him for being as upset as he was. I think that come down to maybe some officiating, maybe some bad play. There were quite a few factors there that kind of contributed to that game going to the point it did.
That was almost as bad as Robo on his birthday last year, beating the stick on the ice, breaking it, and then storming off into the locker room. That was about as bad as that.
Wow. I wasn't there for that one, so I couldn't tell you, but that sounds like a rage fit
It,
for
it
sure.
was. It was a whole pitching a hissy fit type deal. And I'm not okay with that from any player. That's not acceptable for any player to do that, especially in a family friendly
Well,
environment
yeah, that's not the
where
image you want to
where
portray.
kids are there and they look up to him as one of their idols.
And I mean, we can't criticize a lot of
Yeah.
these athletes that much either. I think that from playing some of these games, emotions run high, tempers flare.
Long season.
Yeah, short rest, not only being a professional hockey player, but life in general and things off the ice that could be contributing to those things. So I do understand it. And I think generally these players try to do a good job of it. But I think this is also kind of a way for them to release some of that stress and pent up
Yes.
anger. And I think that that's sometimes that turns into something that it shouldn't be, so to say.
Yeah.
So we've got Macon and Fayetteville as the last game. I think we've got a sweep. I think Macon brings out the broom and they continue to push forward as they have been as of late.
Yeah, I just don't see Fayetteville doing much more the rest of the season. I just think they're just out of it. They're just defeated, and they need to look towards next year. I think it's that time of the season for them with 45 points,
Yeah.
and they're just out of it. So I do think that it's going to be a sweep. They're going to play hard. They're going to prove that they can play, but it's just going to be a sweep.
It's just going to be a
Macon's
sweep.
going to sweep them.
We'll move forward and we'll talk about Trash Pandas a little bit as we try to do every week. We're just under 3 weeks away. Our opening game is April 3rd against the Biloxi Shuckers. We get to play at home, Toyota Field, 6:35, first pitch. We haven't really got a whole lot of news as far as what they're doing roster-wise. I know they've made a few coaching changes, and we'll wait to cover that and do kind of a conclusive how the team looks going into the season. But I would like to let fans know that you can get your tickets at milb.com/Rocket City/tickets. Get your tickets, come out, support the Trash Pandas, bring the kids, bring the family. It's a great time. Fridays are usually fireworks, and you can't beat free fireworks on a Friday when you buy a game ticket. So be on the lookout for that. Get your tickets, come out, support your local teams. They all give back. It's all tremendous and great for the area. So support your people who support you. Fraser, any tidbits you want to add for this week?
Just to wrap it up, I think that the Huntsville City FC have a lot of areas to improve, and I think they will improve. Huntsville Havoc just need to keep playing their game. And I'm looking forward to this baseball season, being able to get able to follow it and talk about it here on the podcast. Because I'm not one to usually follow baseball, and that's just something newer for me that I get to watch. And I know, yeah, sometimes it won't be exciting because sometimes it just when you're out there it can get hot during the summertime, being out the games but it's also fun because you're with the fans.
It is, and I will say that baseball is one of those sports that's really hard to watch on television. It's so much better in person with the crowd, the song, the smell of the dirt, popcorn, Cracker Jacks. It's just a completely different atmosphere going to the games than watching them at home. So I do agree with that, and I think it will be super exciting. I'm a huge baseball fan. I grew up in baseball and football, so it'll be exciting to be in this role in the podcast talking about baseball, a sport that I grew up in, and I'm really excited for that.
But one thing, I know you weren't around when the Huntsville Stars were around, but if there's somebody out there to give us some feedback on how it was going to a Huntsville Stars game versus the Trash Pandas game, that would be fantastic.
That would be super interesting to see the vibe difference, right? To see what it was like at the old stadium versus the new stadium, and kind of just the team dynamic and goods and bads of each side of it, right? Well, Fraser, you ready for next week?
I am pumped to be able to talk about what has happened this weekend because I'm so excited about the Havoc nights this weekend. Like this is the best 2 nights I feel like that are together out of the whole season, wrestling and then NASCAR in the season. You know,
That
just
is
to,
a
just to be able to see them skate around the rink like it's a NASCAR, and then come out the next night and just slam it down wrestling night. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm super excited for that as well. So this week we're gonna launch out of here, and until next week, stay in orbit.